There's no law in America that says you have to stay connected to the power grid. None. Not one. And yet almost every single homeowner in this country, even the ones who spend $50,000 on solar panels and batteries, still ends up hooked back into the exact same system they were trying to escape. So if there's no rule forcing you to stay connected, why does it feel like there is one? That question is going to take us somewhere you don't expect. Because the answer isn't one big law hiding in some government file. It's something stranger. It's a web of small rules, safety systems, and financial traps that most homeowners never even hear about until they're already stuck in it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why your house, even with solar on the roof, might still go dark the second the power goes out. And you're going to understand why almost nobody actually escapes the grid, even when they think they have. Let's start with the assumption most people make. You buy a house. You put solar panels on the roof. Maybe you add a battery. In your head, that should be it. You're done. You're producing your own power now. So why would you still need the electric company? It sounds like cutting cable. You stop paying for something you don't use anymore, right? Except electricity doesn't work like a subscription. It's not something you can just cancel because you technically don't need it that day. There are around 143 million residential electricity accounts in the United States. That's almost every home in the country sitting inside a massive, connected system. And that system was never built with the idea that individual houses would just opt out whenever they felt like it. Here's where it gets interesting. There is no single federal agency that controls whether your house has to stay on the grid. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the group that oversees big interstate power markets, doesn't actually control your local power lines. That job falls to your state, your city, your utility company, and a pile of local electrical codes. So depending on where you live, the rules can be completely different from the guy 3 states over. That means the real answer to why can't I just leave the grid isn't a single law. It's dozens of smaller rules stacked on top of each other. Building codes, utility interconnection agreements, zoning laws, safety standards. Each one on its own sounds boring. But put them together, and you get a system that quietly keeps almost every home tied to the grid, even when the homeowner thinks they've broken free. Now here's the twist that most people never see coming, and it's probably the most surprising part of this whole story. Having solar panels does not mean you have power during a blackout. Read that again, because it sounds wrong. You paid for panels. The sun is shining. Your roof is soaking up energy all day long, and yet the moment the grid goes down, your house goes dark too. Lights off, fridge off, everything off, while your panels sit there on the roof doing absolutely nothing, even in full sunlight. This isn't a glitch. It's not your installer messing up. It's actually built into how most solar systems work on purpose. It's called anti-islanding, and once you understand why it exists, it actually makes a lot of sense. Picture a utility worker out on the street after a storm. Power lines are down. Before they touch anything, they need to know for a fact that those lines are dead. No electricity running through them at all. Now imagine your solar system doesn't know the grid is down, and it keeps pushing power backward into those same lines. To that worker, a line that should be dead is now live. That's not a small mistake. That's someone getting seriously hurt or killed. So most solar systems are built with a safety switch that automatically shuts everything down the second it senses the grid has failed. It's not the power company trying to control you or protect their profits. It's a basic safety rule that exists because your rooftop system is connected to a shared network that other people's lives depend on. This is where the story usually gets it wrong. A lot of people online will tell you the utility company shuts off your solar because they don't want the competition, that they're protecting their business. But that's not what's actually happening here. The real reason is about protecting the people who work on those lines and keeping the whole shared system stable. It's not corporate greed, it's physics and safety. But here's the part that makes this whole story even more interesting. That blackout problem you just learned about, it's not permanent. It's not some unavoidable law of nature. You can actually fix it. The catch is, most homeowners don't know that, and most standard solar installs don't include the fix. If you add a battery system, and specifically the right kind of inverter, your house can be built to disconnect itself safely from the grid during an outage while still using your own solar power. It's called islanding, and when it's done right, your solar system keeps running like normal, powering your fridge, your lights, whatever you need, all while being completely cut off from the dangerous, unpredictable grid outside. The Department of Energy has documented this exact setup. It's not experimental, it's real, and people are using it right now. So why doesn't every solar system come with this built in? Because it costs more, a lot more. Basic solar without battery backup is way cheaper to install, which is why most homeowners go with it, not realizing they're buying a system that goes dark exactly when they need it most. Now let's go one level deeper, because there's another layer to this that almost nobody talks about. Even if your system is connected to the grid the normal way, just producing power and feeding whatever you don't use back into the lines, you still need permission to do that. You can't just wire solar panels into your house and start pushing electricity backward onto public power lines. There's a process called interconnection, and it exists in almost every state in some form. Your utility has to review your system, approve it, and make sure it won't cause problems for the rest of the grid. California actually has a whole set of rules just for this, called Rule 21, and it lays out exactly how home solar systems are allowed to connect, operate, and get measured. On top of that, most solar installs need a permit from your local government before you can even flip the system on. After installation, an inspector usually has to come check that everything meets code, things like the National Fire Protection Association's electrical standards. This isn't red tape for the sake of red tape. Home electrical systems can genuinely cause fires or electrocution risks if they're done wrong. The permitting process exists because a mistake here doesn't just affect you, it can affect your neighbors and anyone who works on the system later. So by this point, you've got permits, inspections, interconnection approval, and anti-islanding safety switches. 4 separate systems, all working together, all quietly keeping your home tied into the larger grid, even while you're generating your own power. Now let's talk about money, because this is where things get genuinely controversial. You'd think that if you're producing most of your own electricity, your utility bill should basically disappear. In reality, that's often not true, and the reason has nothing to do with how many kilowatt hours you use. Your electric bill isn't just paying for the electricity itself. There are separate charges buried in there for keeping the wires up, maintaining transformers, running substations, and having workers ready to fix things at 3 in the morning when a storm knocks out your street. Those costs exist whether you use a lot of power or almost none, because even a house that barely pulls from the grid still expects the grid to instantly deliver power the second the sun goes down or the battery runs low. This creates a real argument that utility companies and regulators have been having for years. If solar homeowners buy way less electricity but still use the grid as a backup whenever they need it, are they still paying their fair share of keeping that backup system running? Some people say no, and that the cost of maintaining the grid quietly shifts onto everyone else, including people who can't afford solar in the first place. Others say the utilities are exaggerating the problem to protect their profits, since rooftop solar can actually reduce the need for expensive new power plants. Here's the honest answer. Neither side is completely right or completely wrong. Research from places like Berkeley Lab shows the real impact depends on how much solar is on a given grid and how much value that solar actually provides back to the system. It's not a simple story of greedy utilities versus innocent homeowners. It's a genuinely complicated debate about who pays for a shared piece of infrastructure that almost everyone still relies on, even the people generating their own power. And this is exactly why net metering rules, the system that decides how much homeowners get paid or credited for the extra power they send back to the grid, are completely different from state to state. There's no single national standard. California changed its entire system in 2023, moving away from its older, more generous setup to a new one that pays solar homeowners less for the power they export. 2 neighbors with identical solar systems in different states, or even under different utility contracts, can end up with completely different bills and completely different payback timelines. So let's step back and put this whole picture together, because this is where it all clicks into place. There are actually 3 completely different levels of energy independence, and almost everyone lumps them together as if they're the same thing. The first is a home with just solar panels connected to the grid. This is the most common setup in America. It saves you money on your electricity bill, but it does not protect you during an outage, and it does not make you independent from the utility. You're still connected, you're still following interconnection rules, and your system still shuts off the moment the grid goes down. The second is solar plus battery storage. This home can actually island itself during an outage, keeping the lights on using stored power even while the rest of the neighborhood sits in the dark. But it's still technically connected to the grid the rest of the time, still following the same permitting and interconnection rules, and it costs significantly more upfront. The third is a fully off-grid home. No connection to the utility at all. These homes are legal in the United States, they genuinely exist, and some states even have specific definitions for what counts as off-grid generation. But going fully off-grid means you have to design your entire system around the worst possible day, not the average one. Cloudy weeks, dead batteries, equipment failure. You have to solve every single one of those problems yourself, because there's no utility standing by to catch you when your system falls short. Most people who install solar think they're somewhere between the second and third category. In reality, they're almost always still in the first one. Grid connected, grid dependent, and completely unaware that their expensive rooftop system does nothing for them the moment the power actually goes out. So here's the real answer to the question we started with. The strange rule that keeps your home tied to the grid isn't one law hiding somewhere in a government building. It's a combination of local codes, utility agreements, safety standards built to protect actual human lives, and a financial structure built around a shared system that almost everyone still depends on, whether they realize it or not. Owning your roof, owning your panels, even owning a battery, doesn't automatically buy you out of that shared system. It just changes how deeply you're tied into it. And that's the part almost nobody explains to homeowners before they spend tens of thousands of dollars expecting total independence. If this opened your eyes to something you didn't know about your own house, subscribe, because there's a lot more hiding in the systems you think you already understand.